So the iPhone 15 Pro Max is Apple's latest A17 Pro chip iPhone. It is one of the most powerful phones, if not the most powerful mainstream phones out there. The Space Black iPad Pro here is the M4 edition, and I actually swapped out back to the 11-inch. But today we're going to find out, is the iPad Pro faster, like way faster than the iPhone? All right, so let's go ahead and boot both of these up. Now the iPhone is on the right side and the iPad's on the top. In 3, 2, go, and see which one can get there first. Now, the iPad Pro does have itself the M4 Pro chip, and we also do have ourselves the, what's the M4 chip? It's the iPad Pro with M4. We have ourselves the A17 Pro, 8 gigs of RAM on both. I don't have the 16 gig of RAM version, but that's good because we're on the same version. You know, same iPad OS 17.5, iOS 17.5, same RAM, so it should be pretty cool. You can see that tandem OLED is just a gorgeous display. I actually think the OLED on the iPad looks better. It's just like brighter. I don't know, it just looks better to me than the OLED on the iPhone. Both are great, but it's got a very deep like saturation on the iPad this year. So when it comes to Face ID, for the iPhone 15 Pro Max, just kind of look at it and bang, you're right in, and bang, you're right in. Now in portrait orientation, housed within dynamic island, it has a nice animation and very fast. Also has raise to wake right there, and you're in. Now for the iPad, they actually moved it over here to the landscape orientation, so it's gonna be more accurate in landscape. And I think there's also like is there a raise to wake on this? I'm not sure, but you could see the iPad very quick as well. So about the same to unlock on both of these. Still have to swipe, there's no bypass. What's really nice about this pairing is that when you come from the iPad to your iPhone, these both have ProMotion displays. So kind of swiping through, it's very evident that they're about the same smoothness. However, it's kind of more noticeable when you have a larger canvas. The ProMotion, it's pretty noticeable. It's super smooth to look at. Browsing, you're gonna see that scrolling being very smooth on your iPad. Not that a 60 hertz is a major issue, the iPad Airs are still fine, but this one is still just super smooth right here. And then before we get into the app test, let's take a look at the Geekbench 6. You'll see the processor clocked in at 3.78 gigahertz here, and that is 7.44 gig RAM available, iOS 17.5. Now for the iPad over here, we are looking at the iOS 17.5 it says, but it's actually iPadOS 17.5. This CPU is clocked in at 4.4 gigahertz and a little bit less RAM according to this. But overall, you know, a higher clock speed on the CPU, so I would expect a little bit better performance here. All right, guys, so we've arrived at the app test. Everything closed out. So let's begin with Google Calendar here. And if you're wondering why I'm using, that was faster on iPad. Or was it? You've seen the loading bars. If you're wondering why I use Google Calendar, it's the calendar I use of choice, so that's why that's there. We're going to stopwatch, and we'll go in alarms, and world clock. And pretty much the same, although a little bit different looking in the app. We'll go into App Store. Faster for the iPad, we'll go into Apps. Faster for the iPad on the right. Games. Slightly faster on iPhone, and while the iPad is loading more content faster on the right, it's still seeming to be a little bit snappier. Let's go into X, formerly known as Twitter. We'll go over here. We're getting this pop-up, super annoying. Let's go over here to, I'm gonna go to, hold on, let me go home. Let me go to my profile page here, and we'll go ahead and click on something. I did actually write on Twitter, I might go back to the iPad Pro 11, and that's exactly what I did, because this year the iPad Pro 11 you see in this video actually doesn't have a worse display, nothing like that. It actually has the same display, same spec as the 13-inch. It's just the more portable size, which I kind of like, honestly. I was using the iPad 13 and I just wanted to use my MacBook, so I'm like, nah, I'm gonna go back to the regular iPad size and just enjoy that OLED. And we'll head up out of here. So let's go into Best Buy now. And you'll see faster on the iPad or the iPhone. I thought it was going to be the iPad. This time faster on the iPhone by a significant margin. I don't know what happened there. Let's go into Starbucks. You'll see faster on the iPad. We'll go into Jetpack Joyride. Now here, will the iPad pull ahead? Gaming should be its forte, but you know, the iPhone is still very, very fast. That was faster on iPhone. Also, to keep in mind, I'm sure a lot of these games and stuff were developed first for the iPhone, as the iPad is not as popular as an iPhone. Let's go into, all right, we got to rotate this back. Hold on. The iPad tends to live in landscape, so we might have to do that a couple times in the speed test. You'll see dead even there, faster on iPad there. They seem like they're almost identically the same. It just feels like maybe the iPad and the iPhone, maybe if I'm just clicking slightly off, it seems like, you know, that's gonna be the difference. So let's go into Amazon and you'll see faster on the iPad. And we'll go into Subway Surfers. It's kind of weird trying to find them because this one has more rows of icon. Faster on the iPad, and then comes in the iPhone. I actually think the iPad feels a little snappier here. That's what I'm feeling. Let's go into Dead Trigger 2, and you'll see about even. And I do think because it has a bigger body, the iPad could disperse heat probably a little better. Faster on the iPad, and of course gaming is going to be a far better experience on the iPad. I do feel like this OLED display on the iPad looks more saturated than the iPhone's, like a little bit more vibrant, which I tend to really like. Let's go into, were we in Dead Trigger? Let's go into Temple Run 2 now. I do have a screen protector on here. That could be it, but I'm pretty sure that's not, because the screen protector is very clear. So it's, yeah, that tandem OLED, that technology, that would be amazing if they brought that to the iPad, or to the iPhone. This tandem OLED just has a super like deep contrast. I love it. Let's go into Free Fire. So watching a movie on the iPad would be amazing. Consuming media is going to be way better on the iPad. Not only we know for the larger screen, but the actual screen tech. Like I know some phones that look better than the older iPads displays, but not here. The Free Fire went to the iPhone there though. Let's go ahead and go into PUBG Mobile now. And if you're wondering where's Genshin, okay, I was gonna put Genshin in this speed test, but what happened was I forgot my password and then it locked me out. So I had to skip it for now because it said like you have to wait like an hour. So I gotta wait for that. I locked myself out, unfortunately. So I'll try to get it in the next speed test that I do. But you can see PUBG launched very well on both. I'm gonna see if I lock this rotation, if it will stop doing that. That might be why it's doing that. Let's go into speed test. And let's hop out of here. We'll go into 3D Mark. And we'll go into Geekbench 6. Faster on the left. That's better optimized for this phone because this just came out, so that's why that's happening. And then iMovie, faster on the iPad. And then you see over here, if we go to edit, both of them are super smooth across the timelines, as you would expect an Apple-based application. And we'll go into Luma. And Luma faster on the iPad, nice. So something that requires a little more power when, you know, doing it. And of course, you'll probably want to edit more so on the iPad than on an iPhone. So overall, I would say the iPad and iPhone were pretty neck and neck here throughout this test, with the iPad launching a few things a little faster, with the iPhone being better optimized in a few applications. So this combo right here is going to be super sweet combo if you have like the 15 Pro or Pro Max with your iPad Pro. It's going to be like similar performance on both, with the iPad probably pushing a little further when you really put demanding tasks on it. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and run the RAM management now. And you'll see we do have 7.44 gigs memory available for the iPhone. So it's showing a slightly more memory available for the iPhone 15 Pro Max. And as you can see, just absolutely butter across the board here for the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Nearly flawless here. Absolutely love it. And this is one of the areas that I can't like step away from the iPhone. It just has such nice visually pleasing animations to look at day to day. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at iPad Pro with tandem OLED 11-inch. You'll see 8 gigs of RAM, 7.28 available. Has that same buttery smooth animation that you expect from the iOS experience. We'll go over here. And man, I really think that the like the iPad with its 120 hertz, just like the iPhone. If you have a 60 hertz, it wouldn't look as smooth coming between these. It really just makes this feel super high end, the ProMotion. Not that other tablets don't do that. It was reloading the feed here for Twitter. I wouldn't consider that like a reload of the app. I think it was just trying to reload the content within the feed. Let's go into clock and calendar. So nearly the same exact RAM management as well, although the iPad tends to go in landscape more, so you'll probably want to keep this product in landscape all the time when you're really like multitasking heavy. Plus you do have the split view stage manager on here. This is stuff you can't get on the iPhone, which can be an invaluable resource to your software ecosystem if you need that type of power. I really wish they would bring some more multitasking features to my 15 Pro Max. That would sweeten this combo really well. All right, so let's go ahead and do an internet browser test. We are going to apple.com here first. That was faster on the iPad, even though it's launching a more desktop version of that website. Let's go into Wikipedia, and we'll go into Wikipedia here. So let's go into Wikipedia, 3, 2, go. Looked like it was faster on the iPad. So the iPad, while even a better browsing experience with the bigger, display, also going to be a faster one. So internet browsing faster on the iPad. So let's go ahead and run the CPU benchmark, and I'll be back when they are done. And we're going to find out how big of a score difference there is between this beastly iPhone 15 Pro Max and this absolute monster iPad Pro over here. Okay, so first of all, let me just point out that the iPad won this test, obviously, according to the scores, but it finished far faster than the iPhone 15 Pro Max. But look at that multi-core score, absolutely crushing the 15 Pro Max. In the single core, I wouldn't say a crush, but definitely a pretty sizable win. And I'm guessing if you go to the 16 gig of RAM version of the iPad, it's going to be even higher scores than this. But this is way more power than most people need. Both of these things are overpowered beasts right here, but the combo would be great because you would expect your iPad to be a little more powerful, and that it is, as you can see right here in these benchmarks. Now we're going to look at the graphics test here, the Wildlife Extreme. We'll do a cross-platform benchmark for comparing graphics here. This is for a short burst. We'll go ahead and hit start just to kind of get a good idea of its graphical performance on both these phones, tablet and phone. I say that because secretly I've always felt like the iPad so far has felt like a giant iPhone with more multitasking ability. But let me go ahead and come back when these things are done, and we'll see what kind of results and what the gap is between these two. If you're looking here within the testing, you can kind of see just how smooth the iPad looks there, and whoa. Step back, iPhone 15 Pro Max. Sit down, young boy. That thing is 20.3 FPS versus 50.3 FPS with an overall score of 8405. This thing is a gaming beast here on the right. And I say gaming beast as in whatever you can play. Scoring better than 98% of devices. I'm guessing the other 2% is the 1 terabyte and 2 terabyte iPad. That means that the iPad itself is the most powerful mobile device on Earth right now. The iPad M4, this is the most powerful mobile device on planet Earth, according to this test. That is crazy. You'll see 76% better on the iPhone. Still a good combination of product here by having these two. But if you want a game and you want to play iOS stuff, go to this iPad. You're going to be absolutely floored with the performance that this thing is capable of. So that was insane. I've never seen a product say 98% better than other devices. That is exciting here. Like I say, I guess this is a 1 terabyte versions of these are even more, are hitting that 99%, 100% better than other devices out there. And lastly, I am going to go ahead and render these out here just to kind of like see which one could do this faster. It's probably going to be the iPad, but here I'm not so sure. So let's go ahead and hit save video. Click save video here, 3, 2, go, and see which one can export this movie quicker. I will be back when they are done. Let me go ahead and zoom in a little bit. Okay, so I'll be back when they're done. A 5-minute video, and we're just about to wrap it up here for the iPad Pro, about to finish this first. This was 5-minute 4K, so I'm guessing that, the longer you go, it's going to get even more of a gap on the iPad. So if I had to do video editing on the iPhone 15 Pro Max, it's plenty powerful enough. It's definitely not slow. Probably faster than a lot of other phones in its class. However, if I have this with me, of course, you're going to want to edit with the Apple Pencil. A mouse can be attached to this, through Bluetooth. You can use your finger to edit, but the bigger screen, Luma and iMovie Final Cut's available for the iPad, making it a productivity powerhouse. You can see that far ahead in the video rendering section over the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So I think we have a clear winner here. So you might have expected these results. For the iPhone 15 Pro Max to lose to an M4 chip, it is a PC level power on the iPad. It's it's Apple Silicon for Mac and an iPad. So you would expect it to be more powerful than the phone that's in your pocket. But you've seen that it wasn't like way ahead in terms of just regular use. But to see that power, you'll want to use this for video editing, photo editing, as well as other things that really push it. Graphic design, digital art, and things that really require a little bit more power. The iPad is going to blow the doors off the iPhone 15 Pro Max in those areas, especially for graphics, graphical performance, and the CPU is a pretty decent leap as well. So yeah, it's a great combo here. You'll have a much powerful tablet and you'll have one of the most powerful phones. With the iPad with a clear victory, this excited me because I feel like if you get this and you just get a slower iPhone, this is way more powerful and cheaper. At the base price of $999, 256 gigs, this costs less than a 256 gig iPhone 15 Pro Max, and it's more powerful. So let me know your thoughts on that right there. And you don't have to get yourself a keyboard if you don't want it to go higher. You can just get a cheap keyboard on Amazon that works with this, or you could just use it as a tablet with a folio case. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know your thoughts on these two products and what you think about them down below in the comments. I'll catch you on the next one. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.